Hey, friends. I just want to give you a quick recap on what happened this morning. Oh, my word. If you are registered for this online children's ministry conference, even if you're not in children's ministry, that was an awesome session, I have to say. The things that my wife was sharing, wow. Every Christian needs to hear those truths. So one of my biggest takeaways was she was sharing about loaves and fishes. We were going through a tighter time as a family, and God brought her to the story of the loaves and fishes. And I know you're in children's ministry. You're thinking, I've said this story like a million times. I don't know what I can learn from that. That's the whole problem. We'll talk about that in just a second. So, what about the loaves and fishes? God says, hey, so what happened? Disciples recognized the need. Hey, these people are getting hungry. What was their first reaction? Natural. Hey, we need to send these people away because they're hungry. Jesus doesn't go for their natural, carnal, five senses answer to the problem. Instead, he gives them a new challenge. You feed them. Now they're kind of freaking out. Now they're like, wait, we already gave you a great answer and now you up the game on us. This is even tougher. And so they're like, well, it would take over 2 months wages just to pay for this. Where do you want us to get this? All we have is what? Lack. So what did they respond with? Carnal option number 2, natural world answer number 2, and lack. Two things that boxed them in, that kept them in a spot where they felt like they couldn't do anything. And what was God's answer? So far out of the box that you wouldn't have dreamt it up unless it was God saying it to you. That's really how it goes. And in that, the supernatural provision of everything they needed was supplied. So, what does that have to do with our ministries? Well, I'd say this. We definitely, in ministry, we recognize needs. We have a heart to meet those needs, just like the disciples did. But far too often, we go straight to the natural answers to these issues, connecting even with secular options to give us great answers for these problems, when that's so outside of what God wants to do. But we've so limited ourselves. We said, okay, here's our lack, and it would take XYZ to be able to really do this well, and I don't have that. I can't do that. All the problems. But God is not a God of issues, of problems. No, he's a God of answers. Outside the box answers, supernatural answers. And so it's time that we begin to pull back, find out where we've been supplying natural answers while God is trying to provide supernaturally for those areas. And that's where the freak out comes from. That's where the overwhelmed comes from. That's where continually feeling like there's not enough originates, is because you're trying to bring in all your own natural ideas to do what God's called you to do by his power. And it's so easy in ministry. We look over here. Oh, what are they doing? Oh, that's working well for them. I'm going to do that. Oh, this guy gave us some fantastic business advice that we can apply to the church. Oh, let's go to this big conference where they're going to teach us how to be creative and learn from secular, high up, creative people so we can be better at the world than the world is at being like the world. No, that's not God's answer at all. How do we find God's answer? We step back, we listen, put together a plan with him to accomplish it, and no matter how crazy it feels, step out of the boat. Start handing out those loaves and fishes. Even if in your head's screaming, this won't work. It's not enough. We can't do it this way. When you're doing it with his supernatural, under his supernatural direction, doing it with his power, you'd be surprised at what God is able to accomplish through a willing vessel. All right, that is it. That's all I'm going to give away from this morning's session. If you want to watch more, you got to go rootkidmin.com/collective, register, and be a part of it. It's name your own price. So you can't even say finances are an issue. And there's one session a day. So you can't say time is an issue. And you can join live or watch the recording. So you can't even say your schedule is an issue. There are no excuses. Register today and be challenged to think outside the box. Get outside of regular churchianity and step into who God has called you to be, to impact lives. That's what it's about. All right. I'll see you tomorrow.